Welcome to Sunny Day Stamping. I'm Julie Baca. I'm here today with project number 3 in the Christmas series that I'm putting out every Monday and Thursday. I hope you're liking those projects. Today's is a nautical themed Christmas card. I'll be using the Christmas season and Christmas to Remember stamp sets. These are the ones I've been using for all the projects so far. I just love those two together. But I'm also going to be pairing it with this really classic nautical stamp set, Sailing Home. Now you can purchase all of those supplies. There's a link down in the description below. But if you want to just use what you have, I feel like you could use this layout and use any kind of tall stamp that you have. Maybe it's a Christmas tree. So I feel like this is a really fun layout. Oh, I will also show you how to create this gradient background behind here. Let's get started. So I want to start out by showing you the different layers in this card, just so it doesn't get confusing, because there is kind of a lot going on. So you're going to take a white card base with the shaded spruce already pre-cut, and out of that layer, you're going to cut your holly berries. Holly leaves using the seasonal labels dies. Then the blue layer will go on top. Then you're going to need a basic white scrap of paper to stamp and cut your lighthouse and the seasonal label dies for this. And you'll also cut out your sentiment here. Now, if you don't have a die cutting machine, you could definitely stamp and cut out this piece, all these pieces really, except for this one. That would be tricky, but this is just a 3x4 rectangle. Now when you open up the card, the inside is also decorated, and we use the red layer that we're using to cut out the berries. Then you're just gonna layer another layer of white to stamp this on. All right, so let's start by cutting out all our little pieces. I'm gonna use cherry cobbler ink and cardstock for the berries. I'm going to use shaded spruce ink and cardstock for the holly leaves. Now you can stamp this and see if you don't like that and it's a little too dark, just stamp it again and then cut only these leaves out. Now you can cut it out with the die or cut it by hand. Now grab your white cardstock and we're going to stamp the lighthouse in Night of Navy. Now go ahead and run that through your cutting machine. Now I've got a quick tip to share with you. Pick up a magnetic bowl. I got this in the automotive department, and I keep it right by my die cutting machine, and I throw my dies in there so they don't get lost, and I love the little clink it makes, so I know they made it in there. Now we're gonna take our 'Tis the Season and ink it up in cherry cobbler, and I'm going to stamp it down along the edge here, about 1/4 inch in from the left. Just kind of line it up along the bottom edge, and we'll just trim around the rest of it. So just grab your paper trimmer, and we're gonna try to trim along the edge here to create the same amount of margin on the top and the bottom. And it doesn't have to be exact. And then I'm gonna trim this to about, you can do 2 3/4 or 2 7/8 to kind of create this little flag here. And while you're here, you're going to trim a piece of Night of Navy to 3/4 of an inch wide and about 3 1/8. So in order to create this little flag, you can use the banner punch, or you can just grab some little snips and just cut a V out of here, starting at the corners and going in towards the middle. And it really doesn't have to be exact. You can see this one, I made one tail longer than the other, but it's a flag. So now you're going to nestle this piece on top. Oh, well, I cut this a little bit too wide. So I'm going to go ahead and trim a little bit off of here. So the only reason why I recut this white one is because I didn't feel like cutting a different piece of the blue, but I do want the blue to be bigger I want it to be wider and longer. So it really, I guess my point is, it really doesn't matter how long this piece is or how wide it is, just make sure your blue piece is a little bit bigger. So now line these edges up at the end and kind of hold it there while you snip this blue piece, or use your paper punch, banner punch, that's what it's called. There, now just kind of put a little bit of glue under here and glue these together. Now I'm only putting glue right here, there. I don't want to glue down these tails because I'm gonna just kind of curl them up just a little bit so it looks like they're waving in the breeze. right, so the one last thing we need to do is create a gradient on this big label piece. And I'm going to use my blending brush for this with some Night of Navy. So just kind of ink it up. And what I'm going to do, we're creating a gradient, darker to lighter from there. So I always kind of start on the paper and bring it on to here. So I'm using kind of deep pressure here, but then lighter as I go this way. And I got a little something there. Let's see if our flag can cover that up. Yeah, we'll be good. All right, let's put all these elements together. Grab your Night of Navy card layer, and we'll glue this on right in the middle. Now let's build our little holly. Just put a little bit of glue there and glue these leaves together kind of crisscross, and we'll cover that up with the berries. Now I've got a quick tip for you. So if you cut these out with the dies, they're going to be connected there. So anytime you want to change up your dies, just cut them. So I want these to be in a nice little cluster, so you just cut that piece off. And I need to trim off this so it's round. And let's glue this on here. And I mean, you don't have to put this one on, but I liked the layering it on top just to give it like some extra dimension there. Now take your lighthouse and pop it up with some dimensionals. I'm going to put, whoa, that was sticking to me. Put 2 at the bottom here because it's got to be able to hold the weight of that holly. And we're going to stick this on towards the left. I want the top extending out past this label, and I want this sticking off too. I just think that looks cool. Now glue your little holly on there. We're just going to put a dot right here, and we're going to put it, this is actually attached to the lighthouse because I want it popped up from this bottom layer here. All right, now we just need to put on our flag, and the same thing, I'm just going to put glue here, and I don't want the rest of this attached so that it can kind of, I'm actually going to curl these up just a bit. And we're going to slide this underneath our lighthouse, and I'm going to cover up my my ink splotch there. There, so let's glue this onto our shaded spruce layer. Now starting today, December 1st, Stampin' Up! Has their retiring products sale, and you can get some really good deals. I will have the link down below for that. All right, so now we'll decorate our inside. I'm gonna use the same sentiment, but there are so many in that Christmas to Remember stamp set that you could use. And then these are from the Sailing Home stamp set. I'm gonna pick a sailboat just to do something a little different. And I'm gonna put it off to the right. I want it hanging off the side here, so it looks like it's sailing onto our paper. Now you're gonna take this and glue it right to our red base where we cut out our berries. There you go. If you're wanting to make this project, I've tried to make it as easy as possible and created a free printable download, and it has all the measurements and all the supplies that you need to recreate this. You can have it sitting right by you while you're making the card. There's a link down in the description to my website where you can print that off. Thank you so much for watching. Have a sunny day.